about is very much linked to this. So the Common App is awesome for all the reasons that Ms. Chavez-Casa just talked about. It's a one-stop shop for all your private schools for the most part. That's where you go. It's a central application, and it's awesome. And it's important. I know that's one of the last things you just said right now. It's important that you get in there and you put our information down. So have our info. Come by your counselor's office. Get one of our little, if you don't have our emails and stuff, it's on the website. It's on our website, or come by the office. I just hand my students a business card sometimes. All our info is on there. Be sure you submit that, because we need to have that email. So then what happens is the Common App shoots us an email, and we know that you're on there, you're ready to go, you're ready to apply, and we're ready to do our things. So with all of that, with the personal statement and prompts and your transcript and everything you guys need to do, one of the critical pieces is the letter of recommendation. As we've been talking about, this is a competitive time. This is a competitive time, and we're talking competition. We're talking hundreds of thousands of students that are graduating, millions of students throughout the country for sure that are graduating from high school and are looking to get into these same universities that you're possibly thinking about. So really, really, I just want to impress that on you, that this is a competitive time. It's not just you out there. It's a lot of other kids that are just as prepared as you are. So what are the little things we can do? What are the little things you can do to have your application picked from the rest, picked from the stack, right? What can I do? And we talked about, the personal statements. We talked about, it not being, hey, I'm a kid from National City, please pick me, right? No, you need to tell me what sets you apart from the rest. What makes you special? Why should I have you and your gifts and your skills and who you are at our university? Oh, okay, this is why. Okay, you know what? This is special. This is unique. If I'm the reader, right? If I'm the person reading, this is unique about this student. You know what? We've never had a student that possessed these talents, possessed these skills. I want to pick that student. Because you know what? All the students are going to have 3.8s and above, right? All the students are going to have great GPAs, decent SAT scores, but sometimes it just, so sometimes it comes down to those little things. So another one of those things is the letter of rep. That's why they want to know. Provide us with a letter of recommendation. Provide us with a letter of recommendation that will tell me, from somebody else's words, from somebody who knows you, an adult who may know you, tell me something about that student. Tell me something about the student. So the letter of recommendations are good for a few things. It's not just for your college applications. They're good for the college admission process. Obviously, that's what we're talking about, right? They're good for scholarships. You're definitely going to use these letters for scholarships as well. So keep that in mind, because with all of this, then is going to come the scholarship time, right? And some of you guys may already be looking into that. But that time's going to come. You guys know we have an awesome scholarship counselor. That's Ms. Arroyo. And you're going to need these letters for that. We sometimes use letters of recommendation when you're applying for a job or internships, right? These are things that may come later for you guys. But definitely you guys will be using your letters for the first two reasons up here. So things to do. So what do you got to do to request that letter of recommendation? You need to fill out the brag sheet. So I passed out a little packet there. So the one on top that says letters of recommendation, that's actually what we call a brag sheet. What does it mean to brag? What does it mean to brag? Anybody tell me. Hey, stop. You're bragging. Cut it out. You're bragging right now. What does it mean when you're bragging?
I mean, that's bragging.
Yeah, like, I'm this, I'm the best looking, I did this, and usually bragging is kind of looked down upon, right? Like, don't brag, dude, come on. Like, be humble. We tell you, be humble, right? Don't brag, don't, yeah, you may be the bomb, but you don't have to say it, right? So, this is the time, this is one of the only times that you have permission to brag. please brag. And put it down on paper, and you write it down, and you tell us all the awesome things about yourself. Tell us what you've done. Tell us all the things you've been involved with. Talk about your GPA. Talk about your community service. Talk about all of those things. Please brag. And we need you to document that. We need you to write that down. And we need you to then, the purpose of this is to pass this on to the people that are going to potentially be your recommenders. People that you're going to ask to write you a letter of recommendation. Ask a teacher. Ask a counselor. Ask a, yes?
I'm going to add something. Some of you guys may not have something to brag about school-wise, okay? But you might be very involved outside of school, okay? Do not forget your family responsibility, maybe family businesses, maybe your community, okay? A lot of times we forget that because we think that it's only whatever we do within 2900 Highland Avenue this way, okay? Whatever happens within our walls. No. Anything that happens outside of Sweetwater High School, you guys may be very involved over the weekends, over the vacation, with your family. I mean, even helping out, because you take part of that responsibility. You gotta brag about that, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Very good point, Ms. Garcia. So who is gonna write this letter of recommendation for me? Who's gonna write the letter? Who am I gonna ask? Oh my God, I have to ask somebody? Sometimes this is where it starts to get a little nerve-wracking, right? Ask a teacher. I always say teacher because teachers, honestly, teachers are the ones who know you best, right? Teachers know you best. You spend every day in their classroom for a whole year, in some cases a couple years, because you'll have them for a couple different years, right? So they know you the best. Teachers, counselors, you can ask us. As a matter of fact, with the Common App, we will be writing a letter for you. Admin, sometimes administrators, because sometimes administrators used to be teachers, right? So you can ask an administrator, you can ask an advisor, you can ask a coach. So whoever knows you best, it's important, that's who you want to ask. Don't ask a person or a teacher that maybe doesn't know you that well. You really want to maximize that potential and have that person who's going to write that letter for you be the best possible person, right? And I know we already touched on this, give the recommender plenty of time. You're asking them to do you a big favor, because it is a big favor. It's something that can really change your life, right? You're asking them to write you a letter of recommendation, so we talked about giving them plenty of time. Don't say, hey, can you write me a letter of rec? Yeah, so when's it due? Tomorrow or on Monday? If you ask them Friday, it's due Monday, right? No, give them plenty of time. So honestly, the folks in this room should have already asked. And if you haven't asked, be sure you do it ASAP. Be sure you hit those teachers, you hit those adults that you're going to ask for a letter of recommendation. Ask them now, okay? Provide your recommender with your completed brag sheet. So there's that brag sheet again. That's why you're going to fill out this blue form, front and back. Best you can, as thorough as you can, and if there's a little more, go ahead and add a sheet to it. But you're going to fill out the brag sheet. That is what we're going to use, the adults are going to use to write that letter of recommendation. Right? We're going to use that information because as good and as thorough as we may know you, there's always something that we may not know. There's always that special thing that we probably don't know about you. So that's where the brag sheet comes in. And you know what? And we get to know you even more. When we read that brag sheet, we're like, whoa, I've known this student for a couple of years, and I didn't even know that about them. That's awesome. So that's where the brag sheet comes in. So you're going to provide that brag sheet to the person that says, yes, I will write you a letter of recommendation. And you say, here you go, thank you. And that's why I say thank you. Always say thank you, guys. There's some students out there that don't say thank you. And remember, we need to be courteous. We need to be polite. We need to start learning these life skills. A thank you will take you a long way. It really will. And teachers appreciate that. Very few teachers are going to say no when you ask for a letter of recommendation. And if they do say no, maybe it's for a legit reason. But very few teachers are going to say. Most teachers will always say yes. And they're happy to do it So you need to show your gratitude and say thank you. That's important. Letters of recommendation, they're critical to the college application process, especially private colleges and especially those of you that are going to use the Common App. The Common App requires a letter of recommendation. Depending on the school, and you'll see as you start to add your colleges onto the Common App, some schools will ask for 1, some schools will ask for 2. I believe some private colleges may ask for 3. So just be sure you at least have 2 people that you've asked, okay? Be sure you at least have 2 people. Critical, so the letters of recommendation are also critical when applying to scholarships, okay? When you get to that point to start and you start applying for scholarships, a lot of scholarships, as part of the scholarship application, it's going to say a letter of recommendation. So that's important as well, okay? And here at the bottom, a solid letter of recommendation can make the difference in a close decision. Sometimes it will make the difference. That's why this is important. Like I said, it goes back to how I started this, right? The competition is great. There's a lot of competition out there. So yes, a solid letter of recommendation can make the difference. Who should write a letter of recommendation for you? So we talked about teachers, could be past or present, counselors, mentors, coaches. And please remember to ask a person who knows you best and is able to provide the best and most adequate information about you. Brag sheet, fill out the brag sheet that has been provided the best you can. Take this time to express all the positive things you have accomplished. And on that brag sheet, there's going to be goals. There's going to be employment if some of you have worked. And remember, it's not all about what you've done here in the confines of this school. What have you done out of school? Have you worked? Have you held a job? It doesn't matter if it was paid. It didn't have to be paid. If it was just something you did at your aunt's store or something. Hobbies. Talk about your hobbies. What do you like to do? What do you spend your free time doing? Community service. That's big. Community service is always big. Background. What is your background? Talk to me about your culture, about your background. Something that sets you apart. Clubs, sports. Are you an athlete? How many sports have you played? And positive adjectives about yourself. I included a sheet in that little package. Some power words here that you want to include. In your brag sheet. Okay? And that is it for me. Anything else? Any questions? Any questions?
I'm still here.
I can't stress this, so I'm going to say this again because I can't stress it enough. Please be sure that you get out there and you start asking these adults about the letter of recommendation. Okay, so we have to get moving on this because that time will creep up on you before you know it, and you need to give these adults who will write you the letters plenty of time. Yes?
Does it matter what someone can read?
No, it does not matter. I mean, I just want to stress that it should be a teacher who knows you the best.
I think the important piece too, because Stanford was here during intercession and they met with some of the counselors, and actually Stanford had talked to us about what it is that they look for in a letter of recommendation. And so you don't want all of your letter writers to be all about academics. So you're like, oh well, I'll ask my English teacher, my math teacher, my history. Like, don't do that. Pick a teacher who really knows you and who can support the things that you're writing in your application. Okay? Even if it's a teacher who you struggled in the class. So let's say you took AP Calculus and it was a super hard class, but you worked really hard and the teacher knows that you worked really hard and they can kind of write to that. That might be an option. Maybe you repeated chemistry twice with the same teacher, and that teacher can write about how you struggled and how you picked yourself up or what have you. It's important also to choose somebody who can talk about your community service. So So whatever it is that you did for community service, they can speak into detail about your leadership skills there. If you're an athlete, choose your coach. So your letters should be from varying points of views that support the different parts of you. So try and choose people who can talk about very distinct things about you. That's important. Because your person shouldn't be saying the same stuff. They should be talking about completely different things.
And that's why if you glance up here one more time, we definitely want to hit some of these things that are non-academic, just like Ms. Luansing said. Somebody who knows about your hobbies, somebody who knows about your background, and we talked about community service. I know the social science teachers take care of community service. You might want to hit one of them for a letter. So, definitely,
And regarding
well-rounded.
the Common App, guys, we made it really short, and even though it's very user-friendly, there are steps to it. So on your handouts that I gave you, it actually talks about all the steps. You know, your first information, then the school information that you have to provide, that's where you submit our information, our email, okay? Your recommenders information, your family information, okay, you're gonna need all that information. So start now. Don't leave it for later. Start it little by little, open your accounts, okay? And you have them on your handout, the steps. Questions?
Any questions?
Your trustee scholarship counselor.
So, I know for Stanford, they have, you have the option to turn in a council recommendation, but because you guys did the switch, would it be best to go, cause like I had Ms. Silva for like the past 3 years, so would it be best to go to her for therapy?
That would be fine, yeah.
Whoever you feel,
Feel.
like knows you
Yes.
best.
Yes, yes, and we don't take offense.
No.
No,
Sorry.
no, our point is we want you to get into those schools, and you guys have worked really hard, and we understand that, yes.
And just, I can't stress enough to give us your, comment apps or your letters with time, because we really take time writing that, we write it personalized to you based on our experiences with you. So if you're giving me a week or even a day before, I really can't do justice and really speak to who you are and what you're bringing at that university. So give us time so that we make sure that we write you a really strong letter.
So just a quick tip, when you fill this out, and this is kind of common sense, but sometimes with, everything that's going on, fill this out the best you can and make copies, okay? I know, it's common sense, but sometimes you forget. And you give it to the first teacher and then you're like, oh. So go ahead and make copies of it and you can hand them out to the different teachers, you can give us one.
How many of you started it? Yay, because I really remember, although the color has changed, it is the same as the goldenrod
It is.
that we talked about last time. So hopefully most of you have started that, and just as Mr. Garcia said, come bring it to any one of us and we'll photocopy it so you don't have to write it a zillion times. And I did just want to share something with respect to the Common App. As soon as you set up your accounts, you'll be able to see the deadlines, because some schools may vary on the deadline for the application due date. In general, and I'm speaking generally, most are due with the regular deadline January 1st. But some of you may be like, yeah, I have all of winter break to take care of it. But going back to the letters of recommendation, we go on break when December 16th, 17th, around there. And some of your teachers or counselors, they may not be on campus or checking their email during that break.
Actually, we will not.
So, therefore, it's so important, just like Ms. Silva said and everybody said, to let them know a few weeks before we go on break. Even though the deadline seems like it's still so far in advance, just to make sure to allow that recommender enough time to submit it and upload it before you guys actually go on break.
We're actually gonna require that the very latest we will accept it is that Friday. You give us a week to work on it at the latest. So if you give it to us that Friday before our vacation ends, we won't be able to fill it out. Okay, so we're letting you know with time so you can plan accordingly.
And just a quick update, because I know some of you want to have some time to start doing some work. Maybe you're going to get a head start on the CSU applications. Hopefully, most of you received my email I sent out earlier this week with a reminder on scholarships, especially the teenagers that left the deadline. Yeah, can I see a show of hands of how many of you received that email? Okay, if you didn't, please come by and see me, because I did get a couple emails rejected back. So that could have been your email. So once you guys guys are settled in, I am gonna just walk around and check in, because I would love to see how many of you are planning to turn in the Teenager of the Month scholarship. That's the one I shared with you, is due the first Friday of every month. The sooner you turn it in, the better chance you have of getting that scholarship. How many of you remember when we talked about the Teenager of the Month? It'll definitely go out to one of our Sweetwater students, but the sooner you turn it in, the better chance you have to get it. And if all of you turn it in soon, we could possibly in the school year even get 2 students from our school. So that's a great opportunity there. It's the one that definitely looks at community service though. So just kind of when we talked about the criteria, seeing that you're a good candidate, think about, do I have a good amount of that community service? The other thing I wanted to touch on, I haven't gotten you guys the October bulletin out to you, but that's because I'm just waiting on one important deadline. We have a great opportunity. Can I see a show of hands of anyone interested in majoring in any specialization within the field of engineering? Is anyone in the room thinking about computer engineering, mechanical, anything possibly in that field? Okay, so we have about 4 of you. For those 4 of you interested possibly in any field within engineering, there's an amazing opportunity to get a full ride scholarship, fully paid, for the University of Colorado Boulder for one of our Sweetwater students. So that scholarship deadline will be coming up sometime in November. I should have all of the key information by next Tuesday. So those 4 of you that raised your hand, I'm definitely going to be checking in with you so that we could look at that. And if you're at all interested in, I'm not kidding, a full ride, 4 years paid, plus transportation, like to come back during the holidays to see your family. Plus, didn't they tell us?
You know,
like,
guys, this
supplies?
scholarship is very unique. When Miss Arroyo says full ride, it's a full ride. Like, seriously, if you need luggage and you don't have chonies, they're gonna help you buy your chonies and your luggage. Like, it's a complete full ride, and they support you in every sense of the word, so you have no worries, so you can focus on your academics. And your parents will eat it up, because the family that puts this on, they don't only take care of you, but they make sure that it's a family effort and that the whole family supports it and that you're supported the whole time you're going to school. Not even just undergrad, like when you get to grad school, if you need help there too, they're going to support you all the way. So it's really something to consider. And you guys are getting a heads up on this. The rest of the school doesn't know about this yet.
Yes, you're
So
absolutely
you guys are getting a sneak peek because you're
And we're probably going to have a little quick introduction from one of the representatives for the family that puts out this scholarship so that you can get all that background information about it. So that's a great one coming up. So you should be receiving the October scholarship bulletin by Tuesday. So just keep your eyes open for this and come by and see me, because I definitely, now that we're settled in the school, you're going to start definitely checking in on some of you guys and making sure you're applying to some of these scholarships that I know you're great candidates for. All right? So I think you're going to get started now on,
No, well,
Never mind.
almost 4, so, but you'll have some time, you'll have 15 minutes, but, with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Some of you might wanna stay, and in these 15 minutes, that's a good time to start filling out your brag sheet. We wanted to give you time to work today. Unfortunately, we did have to combine 2 Thursdays into one, so that's why this session went a little bit longer, and we weren't able to give you time to work. But you are welcome to stay for 15 minutes. All right, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Say hi to the camera, everybody. Hi.
Interested in doing the month one for tomorrow.
Yes. Stay